Hello everybody, welcome here. If you are new here, my name is Rachel. I have 6 figures of student loan debt that I am working my way through slowly but surely. I'm also trying to invest in real estate, save, live my life. Now that payments are coming back in, I wanted to give a complete finance update. Normally I do one of these every 6 months or so. I just haven't done one. Interestingly enough, it is 6 months plus 2 days since I left my last job and completely changed my whole financial outlook and situation and everything. So I have not given an update since then, and 6 months feels like a good time to do that because I'm now solidly in my new way of life, if you will, which, to be perfectly frank, is just a more balanced way of life. I quit my last job because I had zero work-life balance. So now that I have a work-life balance, I've also been implementing debt payoff life balance because I was really steadfast for 5 years. Debt payoff was my only mission in life, and I thought that was going to remain my only mission until I was debt-free. But it nearly mentally broke me, and I'm just not willing to live in that headspace ever again. And interestingly enough, I kind of recently realized that you can be financially independent while you still have debt. So I have shifted my personal life mission from debt freedom to ultimately what I really wanted, financial independence. And contrary to popular belief, you can have both. The point of this video is not to have that argument. We can all have different opinions on that. It doesn't matter. I'm just here to share what's going on with me and my story. So as you guys know, I have been a hardcore spreadsheet budgeter since 2016. End of 2015 to 2016 was really tough financial time for me. That was when all of my student loans are finally in payment and I was making an insanely small income. I had zero emergency savings and my brain works best in spreadsheets. So it was how I found a way to really get control of my budget and make sure I was always going to be able to pay my bills. So I'm going to share my whole spreadsheet in just a second, but so much has happened over the last 6 months that I just have not been diligently spreadsheeting because in my new kind of life debt payoff balance, I've really loosened the grip a little bit on tracking every single penny. It just wasn't a healthy place for me to be living anymore. Again, balance. In case you guys are new here, the only debt I have left is student loans. They are all federal student loans. They have been in forbearance with this pandemic payment pause since 2020. And during the pandemic, I put a little over $25,000 towards them. And then when forgiveness was up in the air, I requested a refund, and it was several months later that I got the checks in the mail one day. Getting that refund actually brought 6 student loans back into my life that I had paid off entirely. And it's okay, but it was a decision that made the most sense to me at the time. And I have decided to not just put that money right back on the loans. I am going to hold on to it just because my whole investing strategy has changed. I am currently looking for a house hack for myself to live in and have other tenants paying as much of the mortgage as I can to reduce my personal monthly housing expense. I'm going to make other videos on that whole process and working my way through that. What I'm looking for, where am I looking, all those kinds of things. I am essentially just going to hang on to the student loan refund money for if and when I find a property, which I'm hoping is sooner rather than later, but who knows. Last week, I actually did make a payment of $7,022.38 to completely wipe out all of the outstanding interest on my student loans so that I could go into repayment with a clean slate as far as compounding interest is concerned, because I called my student loan servicer, which is Mohila, and asked what was going on with that interest, and I was told it was just going to get tacked onto the balance and going back into repayment with that new higher balance of the interest wrapped up into it. I didn't want that. I'm not trying to make my balance go up anymore. So I paid the full amount. However, I forgot to update you guys on this on Transfer Tuesday this week, but even though their website specifically says any payments you make over your amount due, which is still $0 because we're in forbearance, it will go entirely to interest. But for whatever reason, $6,835.33 went to interest and $187 went to principal. So I had to call them again and say, well, what the heck? And they just said, oh, that's weird. I don't know why that happened. The lady I spoke with was very nice, and she was like, sorry about that. Let me reallocate this money. Just allow 3 to 5 days of processing time. And so that was yesterday or the day before. I don't remember, but it still has not been fixed yet, but it will be. Once that money gets reallocated, I will be going back into repayment with a clean slate of $0 in accrued interest on any of my loans. All right, so here is my spreadsheet, and I have just a year at a glance here on this front sheet. This is 2023, so I just have my incomes at the top, my real estate here. I have one rental property for anyone who might be new, and then all of my expenses. I just mark everything off as it comes in, as it goes out, and as it gets paid. So that's pretty basic. And then my next chunk is just my assets and liabilities. So every month I've just been updating where all my assets are at, my emergency savings, and then my car, vet, and medical and annual expenses and sinking funds and where those are at. Real estate is just the money that's growing in my real estate account. My rental property has its own bank account that the rent gets deposited into and the mortgage gets auto debited out of. And the mortgage has taxes and insurance escrowed in. So that is just slowly growing over time. That's just building to grow towards future real estate expenses, whether it's a property down payment, repairs, whatever it is. And then rental property number 1, that is just the last appraised value of when I bought the property minus what's left to principal on the mortgage. So that's just going up every month by roughly $52-ish. It has approximately doubled in value since I bought the property in 2021. So it would appraise for a heck of a lot more now. I'm just not bothered to do that. My 401k, it's cruising along okay, I guess. Stock market's been going down a bit lately, but this did take a major hit in April. If you guys remember, when I left my last job, I stayed 5 years and 1 day so I could be fully vested in all of my retirement, which did include a small pension. Fidelity did not really separate the values, so whenever I logged into my Fidelity account, it was all under 401k. I didn't really know, to be honest. It was a very much watered down, small version of what pensions used to be. I was surprised the last company even offered one at all, but I did cash that out because it was sitting at the federal CD rate, earning approximately 3.8%. My high yield interest accounts are doing better than that. So I took the tax hit, pulled that money out. I know I'll take another tax hit once income taxes come, but I just feel like the money that is coming to me, I can use a heck of a lot better and get a heck of a lot better return rate than 3.8%. And the other thing is I plan to be financially independent way before I'm 65 years old. So I'm not that personally aggressive or concerned about retirement accounts. So I still have not gotten that check in the mail yet. It was supposed to be here in August. I'll keep my eye out. But yeah, so my 401k did take a hit from between April and May. My Roth is just kind of bopping around with the stock market. It's doing okay. I don't know. Haven't really put a whole lot into it. Again, I just explained my whole thoughts on the retirement account situation. Fundrise is just a crowd-funded real estate investing platform. I've put in $650 so far this year. That's just kind of growing in the background. It's more of a longer term investment for me. It's a great platform for getting into larger scale commercial, huge housing development projects that I cannot get into on my own as a single unvetted investor. So I just think it's great if you have extra money, you do want to invest in real estate, you can just pool it with a whole bunch of other people's money and actually get into some really large projects. So I'm just kind of trying to diversify myself with that. My health savings account is growing. That I will always automatically invest in as long as I have a W-2 job, because here in America, health, medical expenses, those can put you underwater in a blink of an eye. And that is the only thing that scares me about financial independence as an American, is healthcare. Once you're on the hook for paying your own healthcare out of pocket, woo, and my God forbid you get sick, and like, oh my gosh, I absolutely hate the healthcare system in this country. It's atrocious. And anyway, I'm just gonna keep building my health savings account, hopefully forever, because knock on wood, woo, hopefully I never need it, but dang. Crypto, I don't even give a shit about, whatever. And then savings, so this is money I had saved up during the pandemic payment pause. I had put that $25,000 towards student loans at a time when the forbearance was supposed to end, and then they ended up extending it again. So I was like, forget it, I'm just gonna start saving. Well, the second half of the pandemic, I saved up another $28,000-ish, and so I've just been slowly adding that. So that's just that savings that was going to be for student loans, but now I am actually saving that as a down payment on a house hack. So now that that's it for assets, we're down to liabilities, which again is just my student loans. So obviously that balance took a hit in the wrong direction as well in April because of the student loan refund. I was at $160,250, and then the $25,000 back brought it up to $185,250, which is pretty well where I was. And then this month, paying that $7,022 in outstanding interest brought it to its current value of $178,041 that I owe. So, whew. Next line down is my net worth overall. I did have hopes and dreams of becoming net worth positive this year, but obviously with cashing out my pension and the student loan refund, no. It's not terrible though. I always graph it over here because I like to keep an eye on things, and as long as I can generally see month over month my net worth is improving and creeping its way towards zero, I'm a happy girl. Again, that hit from April to May, not good, but it's not bad. If we scroll on back to what year I originally started the graph, was it 2019? Dang, 2020. Okay, nope, 2021. Oh man, so just 2 years ago, look where that net worth was sitting, almost negative $150,000. In 2 years, I've got it up to almost negative $40,000. That's $110,000 of improvement in 2 freaking years. That is amazing. That's why I love to have these little snippets of visuals, because whenever I'm feeling down, anything financial, I like to refer to these graphs and remind myself of the insane progress I have made financially over the last few years. Insane. And not only that, but just positive financial healthy habits since 2016, and really having the oh shit moment of my income versus my debt. These things are not in a good place, and I've really, really made it a point to get them in a much better place over the last 5+ years, and it feels really good. Despite things still sucking, despite having a 6-figure balance of student loan debt, I'm still doing amazing, and I'm going in the right direction. That's all that matters. So when people poo-poo on me for cashing out my pension or not being completely steadfast in becoming debt-free or nothing at the expense of my mental health, it's a no for me. It's a no. Balance is the only way for sustained progress. And I'm not saying there isn't a place and time for that season of life. Obviously, I just came out of it 6 months ago. And I'm so infinitely happy I went through that time to build the habits, to make the insane progress, to prove to myself that I can do this, I can handle it, I can handle my life, my finances, I'm gonna be okay. If you need that for yourself, I'm not saying everyone has to be or should be a spreadsheet person, but it's a little something for me to feel better about myself when I'm getting down on myself or other people are getting down on me for my choices. Block all that out. Next section down, let's just roll on down. Below my God, look at this. I even stopped. When was that? June, July. You guys, I've just been living life this summer, having the best summer ever. And personal spending and percent saved. I've just not been keeping up with that. I'll go back and backfill it. Obviously, I've got the info over here in my monthly. Then the next section down is just my paycheck forecasting. I'm paid bi-weekly, so I just put down the dates that the paycheck is covering. So I got paid on the 18th. I don't get paid again to the 1st. So this paycheck has to last from the 18th to the 31st. I'm salary now, so I know pretty much it's always going to be $2,032 that hits my bank account. And so from that, I just extrapolate out, okay, I'm saving half the rent. These bills are coming due during that time period, so I need to set money aside for them. And then I have X amount left over, so I'm going to throw this chunk at savings. And so I just forecast out for 2 months ahead just to make sure I'm always going to be okay as far as at least bills and rent. Those are, of course, the most important thing. And then over here, I just track my personal annual expenses, my business annual expenses, mark them off when they get paid for the year, keep track of my open credit, and then here we go. Here is the big clump of student loans. So, like I mentioned earlier, the student loan refund brought 6 student loans back into my life. And they are these down at the bottom, numbers 21 through 26. Now, this isn't perfect. Again, I stopped giving a shit for the summer, so I didn't update them until just this morning, now that my interest payment has cleared in. These balances are not perfect yet, just because I'm still waiting for them to reallocate that $185 that got accidentally applied to some principal. I don't know what that's about, but it's close enough. And so then I just extrapolated back till May, because whatever, who cares, it's close enough. But anyway, these are my 26 individual student loans. And these are all of their different interest rates, and they range from 5.41 to 7.9%. And as you can see, the ones that I had tackled earlier were mostly 7.9%. Luckily for me, for the most part, the smaller balance ones are the ones that have the higher interest rate. And some of the larger balance ones, like, well, really this clump right here, they are the lower end of my interest rates. And I did sign up for auto debit, which Mohila offers a 0.25% interest rate reduction if you are enrolled in auto debit. So those will be 0.25%, a tiny bit lower once the time comes. But yeah, I am just going to do like I did before. And like this $828 one, that's gotta go. That's just stupid. It's like $1 of every monthly payment is gonna go to that loan. And it's like, no, that's so annoying. My brain works best on the debt snowball plan. I like to tackle small balances and completely wipe things out. Even though I know it makes most sense to tackle high interest rates first, my brain likes that instant satisfaction, or the quicker satisfaction of getting rid of a whole loan entirely. So I tackle things from smallest balance up. Again, I know it's not dollar for dollar the best way to do it, but if it keeps me motivated, excited to keep going and pay off the next one, which is ultimately the goal of any debt payoff plan, right? Especially a long haul one of a 6-figure balance, you need to have motivation in whatever way that works for you. And for me, it's the debt snowball, knocking them down one by one. So yeah, that $800 one and this $1,500 one, those will obviously be the first two to get wiped out because they're annoying. I'll probably pay those off pretty quickly, but I don't know for sure. We'll see. And I'm not putting pressure on myself, okay? No more of that. Oh, and these over here, I'm just tracking how much I'm saving every month. I'm tracking how much I'm dumping into my Roth fundraise and my emergency fund, which has been fully funded since June. That's it on the spreadsheet. I don't think I mentioned, but I did not put the student loan refund money in the assets of my spreadsheet because I'm just hanging on to it as additional emergency fund for if and when I do buy a property. Obviously, with home ownership, there are tons of unforeseen hidden costs that crop up. Yes, the inspection can give you a good idea, but it's not necessarily going to have everything covered, or they're not going to see every little thing. Some things you don't know until you're living in a place. I'm just keeping that money separate, sitting in a high yield savings account for if, when, whatever I need it for. And $6,500 of that went to the new HVAC unit, and I think that was perfect. So the spreadsheet is not a complete perfect view of my whole net worth right now, just because I do have the rest of that money sitting in an account, not being accounted for in my spreadsheets, and I'm totally okay with that. It's likely going to get deployed elsewhere at some point. Yeah, so a lot of ups and downs over the last year, really, but certainly the last 6 months. I don't want to say I'm excited to get back into student loan debt payment again, but it's been like a weird no man's land in this deferment, at least for me, just because it's been the only thing hanging over my life. I've been incredibly grateful for the payment pause. Let me tell you, it drastically allowed me to change my whole financial situation, as I hope it did for many people. Obviously, I know not everyone had a great financial outcome from the pandemic. That's not what I'm saying, but I appreciated the time to focus elsewhere and get ahead. And, you know, for the first time in my life, back in June, I have a fully funded, comfortable emergency fund. That feels great. I've never had that before, and that's brought me such a peace of mind. And if I had still been paying student loans this whole time, would I have gotten there? Not yet. For sure one day, but probably not yet. And I actually feel ready to start making payments again. Like, let's get back into this. Yes, I don't care so intensely about debt freedom, but it is nice to be making payments towards debt and see progress. I think that is probably what I'm looking forward to the most, is feeling that progress again, especially with those first couple little loans. I'm excited to tackle those, wipe those out, and, you know, take it from there. I'm really happy to be going back into repayment, starting with 0 interest once they reallocate the money. I know I've talked about it a lot, and you guys may have personal experience with this as well, but that compounding interest is what killed me for so many years. I originally borrowed $141,000, and yet my balance at its biggest grew maybe 190. I can't remember exactly, but because my monthly payment was so small, the interest was just compounding and accruing and compounding and accruing month over month. And so I just watched my balance go up year over year, and that was incredibly deflating. And I'm insanely happy about the new changes that they've made to student loans. And at least for me personally, I was on a income driven repayment plan, and I've been dumped onto this new save plan that eliminates outstanding interest after you pay your monthly payment every month. So there is no more compounding accruing interest. So this balance is never going to get away from me again. I feel very confident that not only will my monthly payment be absolutely no problem anymore, but that I will be able to do extra towards the principal. And that's really what matters. And that has been many years, again, of learning the budget, learning to save, learning to live below my means, and avoiding lifestyle creep. This is just where I'm at currently. I'm really, really, really excited to find a house hack one of these days and share that process with you guys. I got a comment on this week's Transfer Tuesday video if I could do some like real-time property analysis deals with you guys of house hacks that have and are popping up in my area but maybe don't quite work for me, and kind of explain why a particular property does or doesn't work. So let me know if you guys want to see more of that. I'm thinking about doing them in shorts, just a real quick cut and dry property analysis in under a minute. I think that would actually be really fun. I'm just really happy overall about my new financial outlook. So thank you guys so much for being a part of it and for watching. Hang around if you'd like to see my upcoming adventures in property hunting and how that plays into my whole financial story. I would love to have you. I will see you guys in my next one.